against, man, an absolute legend in Kid Yamamoto.
Yeah.
At 155, I might add.
No, 143.
Oh, yeah.
You cut all the way down,
it's 155. Yeah.
No. I wish it was 155.
You didn't have any issues with his power at all, did you?
No, I didn't have any issues with his power. I mean, like, it was his speed I was having a hard time with. He was fast. He was really fast. And his rest was good. He was kind of strong, in terms of like the rest, but he was real stiff. So like he didn't want to open up at all. There was no ground and pound. There was not like I expected him to be really aggressive in the ground and pound because I had seen a couple of his previous fights. I knew his wrestling was good. He was like on the Olympic team until he got booted off. Like his sister was, I think, an Olympic gold medalist. I think he's got 2 sisters in the Olympics for wrestling. I think one of them ended up being like an Olympic gold medalist or a bronze medalist. I think a 2-time medalist. So like that was a fight I took on 2 weeks' notice.
How did you get it? How did that fight get lined up?
So Philip Perez was supposed to fight. Philip Perez was part of like Team Fresno / AKA's team because we had just signed with the Zinkins. So they had joined the whole Team Fresno and AKA had all joined together. So now they were all kind of managed under Bob Cook. And so that's how it all started. Well, then he takes the fight to fight Kid Yamamoto. Well, he's holding pads for his buddy. And his buddy misses the pad, kicks him in the head, and knocks him out. And so the promoter of that, I don't know if you know, the promoter of that Shogun was Sean Shelby.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Sean Shelby and his ex-wife Helen were the promoters and the matchmaker. And they had this big wig guy. I don't know where he was from, but he was a big money backer. And so that was the first fight I ever got paid a ton of money, man. I got paid $2,000 for that fight. That was a big time fight for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You were 5'10", he was 5'4". There was obviously, and you, all right. There's certain times in people's careers where you kind of see them level up. I think you leveled up after this fight because you were keeping your hands to your body. And once you put your hands in front of you and that, like, you weren't fighting as short, that's when like your game just changed. And at that point, you weren't there just yet.
Yeah, the thing is with him, this is what I had to remember with him is once I realized how fast he was, I had to keep my hands closer to my chin because he was hitting me with shots before I could even react. So if my hands would have got away from me, I would have probably got knocked out. I mean, he had some power, but it was the speed in which he got it there, which was real concerning to me. And he did everything off of the punching right into his takedowns. And his technique on his takedowns it was just good. And I was like, shit, I like he was in to my legs and already turning the corner or taking me down before I could even start to defend. He was so fast. And the other thing as well is when we showed up in Hawaii, I was I had to cut 28 pounds in little over 24 hours, 25 hours.
What?
So I spent, because I took the fight on 2 weeks notice. I was 169, 170 when I took the fight. So 2 weeks later, I was focused on just training. I was always training every day, but I had to up the increase, got into shape. I had to go run. I was running like, as much as I could. At the time, I didn't know really shit about dieting. So I was just kind of eating whatever, and I didn't really have a lot of money. So I was kind of I was living off fucking, chicken noodle soup and shit like that to kind of just give me the energy to get through. And so, it was, I wasn't barbecuing at the time. I wasn't eating like chicken breast. I wasn't doing any of that shit. I was just eating whatever I could get my hands on because I could afford. And so, that's kind of how the routine was. And with him, he was good, man. He was just fast. He was good. But I just remember that week of the fight, I remember him walking around at all the press conferences and everything like that. Always had food in his hand. I was like, you son of a bitch. Because I was starving. I was so damn hungry. This guy's walking around with a bottle of water and food in his hand the whole time, eating the whole damn time. Every day he was eating. I was like, this guy, I'm going to fucking kill this kid. Mm-hmm. And so, I know the fight was not what it should have been in terms of that fight, the way it went down, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me. I got signed by the UFC right after that. That's the fight that got me into the UFC.
Well, why don't you explain what took place in that fight?
Yeah, so what took place in that fight was like he came out. We were having some good exchanges. The speed was getting to me. He was hitting me, but I was countering, but he was moving out of the way. But I started getting a little bit of his timing by the end of the first round. The second round comes in, we start off, and then I started kind of like chasing him down a little bit because I could tell he was getting a little bit tired.
Yeah.
So he was having to use a lot of speed and explosiveness to get me down. And then, he's throwing heavy shots because it wasn't affecting me. So he kept trying to throw harder and harder. I could tell he was getting tired. I wouldn't say he was exhausted, but I could tell he was getting tired.
He was starting to bend.
Yeah, he wasn't the same fighter in the second round as he was in the first. And so then, so then we just came out and he stepped in trying to land a shot, leg kick. And he's shorter and it slid right up his leg into his cup and actually broke his cup.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, he was wearing one of those plastic cups. It actually broke his cup. And so, fight was done, man. He's like,
Josh got everything.
We got it all, man. Yeah, it was shin to the nuts. It was shin to the nuts. There was no foot. It was all shin.
He was so hurt. Yes.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.